boss was a killer and I got a bunch of clips. Run up in your gonna let you take a dip in my evil fantasy. Won't you run and come with me to the deep, deep part of more than you can see. I'm a ghost, I'm a demon, and I'm seeking when you're dreaming.
What's You know, that was a little too energetic. But regardless, the Nintendo DS and 3DS are among some of the most influential consoles of all time. Each family selling more units than there are probably realistic hairs on a Mario render. While most people bought these consoles to, play games on, what some players would find is that this console would become an art device for them. As for me, I was privileged enough to be one of those people. That's right. Get out the way, Wacom. Get that freaking iPad away from me. Etch-a-sketch? More like just draw with a pen and paper. Seriously, how do you draw with these things? Now, of course, the first real art program for the DS family draws all the way back to 2004 with Pictochat. Pictochat came with the original DS in 2004, and it allowed users to connect wirelessly with other users where they could join a chat room and send little messages to each other. You could handwrite things using the touchscreen and a stylus to send messages, or you could just tap on the letters on the screen if you're a serial killer. The best memories I have using Pictochat comes from the days of elementary school field trips where everyone would bring their DSs on the bus and, talk shit about the teachers. I saw a kid rat out on his friend to his crush on Pictochat, and let me tell you, when that kid got off the bus, his fate was sealed. I never saw him again. The DSi was a remarkable upgrade from the DS, giving you way more things to fiddle around with than just drawing penises on Pictochat. There was a camera you could take pictures with. You had a whole sound system thingy where you could listen to Linkin Park. You also had the eShop where you could download things such as, Flipnotes Studio. Flipnote was a flipbook styled animation program released in 2009 in North America. Unlike programs such as Flash, Flipnotes simplified the animation process to a T, making it so dum-dums like me could just get into animation. It only gave you 2 layers, 3 solid colors, a single audio track to work with, and limited memory. So your animations couldn't be these high-budget, Hayao Miyazaki leveled animations. Even with these limitations, users would think way outside the box on how to use this program, showing just how much potential it had. Flipnotes to me is what Newgrounds is to so many 20 to 30 somethings. Flipnotes offered a service called Flipnote Hatena, which was a way that you could share your animations with people all over the world. And by all over the world, I mean all over your region. How lame is that? The online service was actually pretty advanced, having its own rating system using colored stars where it'd be shown off on your profile. This allowed a whole culture to form around this app with tons of different trends and animation memes. You had the suicidal iPhone shy guy, the Daft Punk booze, and that one animation where the dude jump kicks his homie off a cliff. That one came pre-installed with the DSi. A lot of the most influential Flipnotes were uploaded in a way where once you downloaded them, you could actually edit them frame by frame. Like, remember that Daft Punk boo animation I was talking about? Bro, check this out. Egoraptor! You had creators inspiring other creators to create things that were inspired by their creations. I can't tell you how many times I saw a Flipnote as a kid and thought, I want to create something like that. And then I did. I don't want to break the box here. I dabbled into so many different kinds of art and animation thanks to this app, whether it be making music videos, parodies, sprite animations, icons. I used to roleplay on Flipnotes. My character was a cat boy, not my proudest moment. This app and its many creators left a big impact on my little middle school self. For the amount of time I spent on this app until the wee hours of the morning, I'm convinced I decreased my life expectancy by 7 years. This app introduced me to so many of my earliest influences, whether it be Scourge's Best Buddy and Sonic Storm for their amazing Sonic animations, Miss Metafan and Seraphine Soup for their art styles, kind of influencing what mine would become. Afro Toad, who created a whole hour-long series that was split into minute parts that were all uploaded in the span of a few years. And the guy's biggest flex has got to be that he finished the last episode, and I remember this so vividly, he finished the last episode with maybe 3 days before the app actually shut down. Shout out to Gadget. If you haven't checked it out yet, link will be in the description. Then you also had creators like Fleasevion and Squirt, who are pretty much like the king and queen of music videos back in the day on the platform. I can still go back and watch Fleasevion's final Flipnote and get quite emotional about it because this little application on my Nintendo DS meant so much to me. But funnily enough, no creators influenced me quite like the Spanish scene, which is really funny because if you don't know, I'm Canadian. I don't know a word of Spanish. You had Julio98 and Gurr, who influenced some of my earliest taste in music. But the king, my biggest inspiration, don't know if this dude's still out there or not, but I can never say his name right. It's like Brupli, I don't know. It's on screen right now.
Broipal 3.
I loved his animations, I loved his humor, his art style, it all influenced me. I even found the guy's Skype one day and was able to talk to him like in 2012. I feel bad for him because it was probably really awkward, but that's just the tip of the iceberg for creators. If I were to keep going on, we'd be here all day. Quick shout out to everyone on screen though, because I didn't have the time to really shout you guys out individually, but I love you all. Also, this Flipnote right here is the origin of the flower eye that I have, so shout to whatever your name is, because I can't freaking say that. Flipnotes played such an important role in my more developmental years and really got me to create things I probably wouldn't have without it. Now we go to the 3DS, which actually had a few more artistic ventures. Starting out with the Nintendo officials, we have the built-in notes feature. I'm not even gonna bother showing it to you because it's literally just a blank screen that you can write a note on. That's it. So instead, we're moving on to the first and only really big Nintendo one. Swapnote was an app released in 2011, which allowed users to send little messages to other 3DSs. With this, you had the mascot Nikki, who would occasionally send you cute little letters. Swapnote was a fun way to communicate with your friends, letting you send each other drawings, in typical Nintendo fashion. You could take pictures, which is actually a little risky for Nintendo, but I admire their bold choices, and send audio recordings. Oh no. Swapnote was shut down October 31st, 2013, allegedly after kids kept sending their friend codes to creepy adults who would solicit child. Yikes! Nintendo followed this up a few years later with swapdoodle. It was basically the same thing as Swapnote, except it took out the features where you could record audio and send pictures. I had some fun experiences with Swapnote, but you know what's not fun? Child exploitation. So Nintendo made the right choice shutting down Swapnote and replacing it with Swapdoodle. But it's alright. At least we still got Flipnote 3D to fall back on. Right? Flipnote 3D is where I look at to feel depressed. What was supposed to come out overseas after Flipnote for the DSi died in 2013 took so long to come over to the West that by the time it did arrive, the whole scene for it was dead. Not to mention, the community aspect was completely removed from both the North American and European versions. But as an app, Flipnote 3D is like amazing. It was just an all-around way better version of Flipnotes. More colors, more brushes, more layers, and just all around more features. I've used it a handful of times and yeah, it's really good. But without that whole community aspect that the original had, the app's just not for me. So with people like Kiki Flipnote making animations using this software to this very day, I'm glad it exists. I mean, I'm not gonna use it anymore, but when I think of the best art experience on the 3DS, none come close to the likes of Colors 3D. While Flipnote taught me the basic of animation, Colors taught me the basics of just art in general, and I guess specifically digital art. Colors 3D really stripped back the whole digital art process, making it so older dum-dums like me could understand it. Yet, it wasn't limiting. You had 5 layers you could work on, a whole color wheel to choose from, 3 different brushes, and an eraser, all of which were customizable in size. Like Flipnotes, Colors 3D had an online service where you could share your art with people all around the world, and this time, you actually could share all around the world. Suck it! It was really neat seeing creators from the Flipnote days make their way onto this platform, whether that be Miss Metafan, Seraphine Soup, Scourge's best friend, Squirt, and Fleasevion, alongside having some new artists to follow, such as Private Caboose, Lofty Lioness, Sarukai Wolf,
Rabigal Reina,
and my boy, Benix. I know he hates that I just dropped his old username, but you know what? Stuff it, Tim. It was really motivating to see these artists make such amazing pieces and know that I had the exact same tools that they did at my disposal. I didn't have an art program or even a tablet to draw on at the time, so my first real proper digital art experience was had using my DS and Colors 3D. I really got to learn how digital art worked through this app and was able to get involved into a tight-knit community of people. It was such a tight-knit community that some of the biggest artists on the platforms only had like a few thousand followers. While I had more memories on Flipnotes as a kid, Colors had a much bigger impact on my life. If it wasn't for Colors, I would have met some of my closest online friends such as Cocoa Dots, Bashman, and HyperAverage, alongside people such as Headrover, Peach Rings, and Fuzio, as well as these lovely and good-looking people. So shout out to the Nintendo handhelds, where I spent more time on the applications than the freaking games. I'd actually like to hear some of your experiences with these platforms in the comments below, because I'm a sucker for reading about stories. If you like this little walk down memory lane, why don't you subscribe? Or at the least, just leave a like. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to recreating my Pictochat art. You can go now.